Good day. Welcome to the Synapse NG with Dr. Akimobola Otitoju, a program developed to spotlight diverse voices and actively foster collaborations. Here on the Synapse NG, we bring together brilliant minds from across the world, scientists, innovators, and thought leaders to share insights that shape the future of research, technology, and policy, especially from an African perspective. On today's episode, we shall be spotlighting Dr. Vincent Dambo Linus. And here is a brief bio of Dr. Vincent. Dr. Linus is a Nigerian scientist renowned for his prolific research aimed at innovatively transforming the criminal justice system, particularly in homicide investigations. His work is driven by challenges faced by crime scene investigators when conducting inquests on decomposed human corpses, which we call cadavers. The issue of insufficient evidence to convict suspects in homicide cases, delays in justice delivery, and the suffering of victims' families. Now, to affirm his expertise, it is important to note that Dr. Linus is a seasoned security expert and a scholar of considerable repute and recognition. He earned his BSc in biochemistry from the University of Maiduguri in 1998, followed by an MSc and PhD in the same discipline from the University of Wales, making him an esteemed alumnus of these prestigious institutions. As a dedicated scholar, Dr. Vincent P. Linus has participated in numerous international and local conferences, workshops, seminars, symposiums, and summits focused on security and forensic science. He is currently a member of the Biotechnology Society of Nigeria, the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, and an associate member of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Kuru, Jos. Beyond his academic and professional commitments, Dr. Linus enjoys reading, relaxing with chilling music, and engaging in sports activities despite his family responsibilities. In today's episode, we will showcase Dr. Linus' groundbreaking research exploring the biological interactions of insects with exposed carrion in uncovering the mysteries surrounding unexplained deaths. Dr. Linus, you are welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So your work sits at the fascinating crossroads of biology, chemistry, and justice. Now, looking at the natural clock, Dr. Linus, for most of us, seeing insects on an animal, animal remains is a sign of decay. All right. But for you, it's a crime scene clock. In simple terms, how can observing the types and life stages of insects on a body help to estimate when the person died?
Yes, of course, the interaction between insect in particular with the exposed carrion is unique and can be explored to explain the reasons and the time of animal or human disease persistent. The reason for that is this. The association is unique in its own. The colonization of the body by this insect can be tracked in a particular way. And normally, the court of law is a court of evidence. It's not a court of emotion. Because not a court of emotion, it means there must be an evidence generated around an exposed body to be able to convince the juries to bring perpetrators to book. And that's the area of this interest signifies the interaction between the world of science, the criminal justice system. Meaning that with research well around an exposed body, evidence, victim can be tracked and they can be
Okay, now you talk about insects. Okay, so now talking about insects, so it looks as if the insects are the first responders. Okay, so which specific insects are the very first to arrive at a scene? And what is it about the human body that acts like a dinner bell for them?
Once an animal is exposed by whatever means, the process of degrading that exposed body is what we call a decomposition process.
Okay.
And decomposition normally starts at the point of death by the living microbiome that are already internalized in the body system while the animal or the human is still alive, because they have a specific role to play. But immediately that has taken place, the internal mechanism for maintaining their functionality will be lost. And once it is lost, it then means that the activity has been converted to degrade the once living body, such that it will be converted to invading organisms like the insect to benefit from. That simply means that after death, autolysis will take place. The enzymes, even in the body, will begin to degrade the living cells, and then followed by the microbiome, they call it the gut microflora, they will also participate, because the body, as oxygen gets depleted, anaerobic activity will start taking place. So that is the first thing. And then the many other compounds will be released. Some of these compounds are what is found in the odor that is picked by the insect when the person and is abandoned. So the insect will pick that odor and trace the body. But of importance, based on the research we have already conducted, the group that are always the first to appear, and under that categories, we have 3 of them that are very prevalent in our area of studies. And that includes what we call the blowflies. We also have the housefly, and we also have the flesh flies. But more importantly, is the blowfly that will always come first to locate the cadaver and then give indication that something is abandoned here. And subsequently, other organisms will now start coming different timing. And that timing is a pointer that is a biological clock which you can pick to profile the time of death and to bring the perpetrator to, by trying to get the last record of those that are and those that can be linked to the death scenario.
Okay, Doc. Thank you thank you for educating me there. Now, the next question I would love to ask, beyond knowing the time of death, is it possible for these insects to also tell the relationship between whether a body was moved or if the person, was poisoned? Can this insect evidence help to solve that?
Yes, of course. The reason why it's possible is this. The insects have what we call biodiversity in their distribution. Simply put, the insect of a particular locality is different from insect of another locality. Just like human beings, we occupy different geographical areas. So also are insects. So when you now genotype those insects by sampling them, collecting them, and identify them properly, both morphologically and genetically, and morphologically and also genetically, it is possible to tell one insect species of location from a different location. So if a body is moved, of course, the present location of the body will be colonized by the insect of that particular area. But when you now look beyond, you discover that one of the larvae, the oldest larvae is the one sampled, and that larvae is a pointer of the first insect that invaded the body. So even if you move the body, you are not moving the egg, you are not moving the larvae. So if you harvest the oldest larvae from that location, the present location, and we take it to the lab, and allow it to grow, to follow the process of metamorphosis, we'll be able to know that particular insect that invaded the body. If it is different from the other locations, it then means that that body was, that insect followed the course from where it was first and then taken to the new location. So that will give us a very good record. And based on that record, we can conclude that that body was actually relocated from the form of homicide.
Wow.
Because it's not expected that you can find different insects in the same location. So any differential the insect, it means there is a record of movement of that body from the former location.
Wow. Wow. Dr. Linus, I must applaud your expertise in this area. And I must also say that it looks as if your background as a security expert also assisted in this, your area of specialization. Now, going to my next question, the unseen world. We see maggots and flies, but your work likely involves a much smaller world. So what role, I know that you talked about this earlier, but I just want you to reemphasize on it, the role of microbes and bacteria, the invisible decomposers. What role do they play in this entire process? And how do they interact with the insects that you study?
Well, the role of microbiome, which signify the collection of all the microbes, their gene and their interaction with the environment. That's what we mean by microbiome, the entirety of the microorganisms, vis-a-vis the bacteria, virus, and their like. So their collections is what we call microbiome. The relationship between the insect and the microbiome is symbiotic in nature. And it's independent but regulatory. In other words, we can look at the two as a combined system that is very regulated. In other words, there is a very strong synergy between the activities of the insect and the microbiome. I can cite an example. I told you earlier on that the microbiome normally initiates the process of what we call putrefaction, right from the process of what we call autolysis. And in that part of putrefaction and autolysis, I have told you earlier that they generate gases. That gases contain very active compound that can be picked as an indicator. That is what we POC, volatile organic compound. Volatile organic compound, there are two specific examples. There is one we call putrescine, and there is one we call cadaverine. Those are the order that always associate a dead body. And that is the one that the insect normally pick. It's not expected that when you are alive, you produce such smell. Those smell only come after death. And that is the work of the biome to generate those things. And that is the reason that led to the bloating of the body, because those gases produced internally want to escape into the environment. So that is why the body becomes bloated. And as it advances, definitely because of tear and this, it will take open at the active decomposed stage to release the content, the inner content, the body fluids. So now the insect, on the other hand, apart from invading the body, landing, laying their eggs, and then the egg hatching into larvae, those larvae also want to bore into the internal system to get more of the nutrients, which they will use for their development. So it then means that while that happens, they are also feeding from the nutrient that is available by the microbiome that are already available. It's a very good example. During the anaerobic condition is a procedure. They help to produce those gases. So now they are making nutrient available for the growing larvae. And the insect, on the other hand, they are also importing along with them other microorganisms that changing the nature of the microorganisms that are present there to fasten the process of decomposition. So that simply means that their relationship is mutual, it is independent, but yet regulatory. In other words, each of them benefit from one another, and their combined effect is what will lead to complete decomposition of the steam body.
Wow. Thank you, Doc, for this clarity that you have brought to this topic. Now, looking at the real world impact of your research, uh, without giving sensitive details, I don't know if you can share an example of how this science, the forensic entomology, has been the key piece of evidence that helped solve probably a mysterious death or bring justice to a victim's family, probably in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor, for that question. Yes, in Nigeria, it's still work in progress.
Okay.
What I mean by work in progress is that forensic evidence is here to have its right of place in our judicial system. And that is the reason why we are trying to work advocate to inform those saddled with policy to make a law, to legislate such that that evidence can be accepted in law to convict criminals. So it's a work in progress. Sometime on the 24th of June 2023, the city of Jos, very close to township school, the body was a lifeless body. Then a lot of people thought that it's a murder orchestrated either by religious crisis or by other crisis. If not for the timely of the scientific community, the security that some people that you watch out for. Therefore, when the body was found, we have to look at normally to collect data. And like we have said earlier, that insects are normally seen as one of the active witnesses in such cases because their information is real and their information can be processed into real-time evidence. So now, but something remarkable happened, of which I want to share. 24 hours after the death, that body was not invaded by any insects. And because it was not invaded by any insect, it calls for concern. So because we need to know what inhibits the activities of insect there. Why was insect not decomposing or was not playing active role in the decomposition process? Although from the area, it was seen that much of the insects were present around, but they were not on the body and they didn't lay egg, they didn't do anything. So thank God for the word of science. To unearth the mystery behind that, it becomes evident that maybe it could be there is huge chemical presence in the body which inhibit the activities. Because a research has pointed to the fact that organophosphates normally inhibit the activities of insects. So from that point on, it was assumed and suspected that it could have been a case of poisoning. And the body was further moved to University of Jos Teaching Hospital for pathological examination. And during the examination, toxicology tests revealed that there is an organophosphate in the body ingested by the deceased person before the death. So the presence of that organophosphate was actually what inhibits the presence of the insect around the body. So at the end of it, also histopathology was performed, and the vital organ shows that it was the death was orchestrated by toxicity. And further investigation revealed that the disease is actually victim of drug addiction.
Wow.
And with that alone, a sucker was found because that suspicion of somebody behind the killing was ruled out. And I think science was uniquely made a very huge intervention in that investigation. Without science, I don't think we would have been able to uncover that mystery, because it would be very difficult for anybody to really come up with any data to tell us why insect was not invading the body.
Okay, Doc, can you hear me, please?
Thank you very much. I can hear you.
Okay, yes. So, talking about...
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I have two quick questions that I would like you to address in, quickly. The first one is that looking at the future of decay, looking forward, what new technologies or techniques are you most excited about that could make reading this insect testimony even more accurate and powerful in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, Doctor, I think the world of science is evolving. Innovation is a continual one. We keep improving on the existing protocols to ensure that we have a better results. We're in the world of technology. I'm looking at the possibility of marrying my concept of finding with technology. And importantly, I have found that I could bring into bear the application of GIS, Geographic Information System, and integrate it with AI, artificial intelligence, for speedy process of information. Because our end users, the crime scene inventors, don't have knowledge on how to collect this data or how to analyze it. And it will always be a problem, because the fidelity of the outcome is very key to have a very good outcome. So, and I also know as a scientist that if we keep us harnessing or harvesting this insect over time, there is possibility that some of the species may go into extinction. And if they go into extinction, it will be a very difficult problem if they are not properly documented. And that is what will be what we call chain of custody. In chain of custody, it means your documents or your data should be must be tracked, can be tracked, must be secured, and must be properly documented. So documentation is the key, is the hallmark of the whole of the findings. If it must be credible and appealing. And use to have a data created to tell a friend insect distribution localities and collect it into a standard data processing system, such that if I to tell you what insects are prevalent, let's say in Osun State, or in Plateau State, or in social place, so that we can have it as a data. And you know that if you have that pool, which is the work of the GIS, the Geographic Information System, linking all the insects to different geographical areas, and then the AI will not be able to manipulate those results, so that if you feed it with an input, it will be able to tell us that, okay, this body was found in so-so area. The temperature, the weather condition, the type of organisms that are prevalent, everything will now display. So that even from the scene of investigation, you'll be able to manipulate that platform and you'll be able to get immediate response. I do remember that even when I was doing the work, it was very difficult because I have to interface with a national remote sensing to depend on them for data and coordinates. Not everybody will have that partnership. But if you go to the developer like Asia and Europe, even the local farmer, they have their weather station. And it's easier for them to collect data. So we are trying to see how we can create data of weather and other places. Like in Jos, I was able to find the effect of altitude. In other places, you may not have altitude as the major environmental condition that determine the rate at which the composition is. So this is the frontier we are looking at. And I want to work on that in my postdoctoral
All right. Dr. Linus, thank you for demystifying this incredible science for us. You've shown us that even in death, there is a narrative. And with experts like you, that narrative can speak for those who no longer can. On a final note, I want to ask, in one sentence, what exactly gives you the strength and motivation to work in this challenging field? And what message of hope does your research offer? 1 minute, please.
Okay. Well, my parting shot will be that I want to leave with the word from Philip Uta. He says, and I quote, that the world is not dying, it's being killed. And those killing it have addresses. End of quote. Meaning that the criminals don't just exist, but because they are not traced, they are not brought to justice, so crime will continue to prevail. So to do that and to avert that, that is why the place of science must continue to have its pride of place. But what is mostly important is that partnership is key. So we need, because it's a robust study that will require huge financial involvement. But if the one we have done so far is at a very smaller scale, which may not serve the entire people of the country. But we want to see how we can expand it. Like I'm hoping, I am already preparing a handbook for crime scene investigators who may not have the knowledge of science to leverage that opportunity to be able to extract information. Because the decomposed body is always an area that is known to be a repository of evidence. But if that evidence is not harnessed with fidelity, then it will be a flaw, it will be flawed. You understand? So that is why we are looking at the possibility of getting people on board, more people on board, so that we can have one common forum, just like we're having this discussion, bringing our experience, bringing our data together, analyzing it together, so that we just start interactions or partnership to be able to cover the entire country and save our country from the menace. Because now that we are witnessing genocide, we need to tell which is genocide, which is individual.
Thank you for taking out time out of your very tight schedule to be on the show today. We do not take it for granted. We are indeed very grateful. Thank you for showing us a little bit of your research work. And if you are looking for an expert in forensic entomology as it regards to solving criminal cases, Dr. Vincent Gambo Linus is your best bet. Thank you once again for sharing your insights with us on the show, and we wish you the very best in the future.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate it. You have really made my day. I hope to be here anytime, any day to discuss and enjoy other episodes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. So to our viewers, this has been the Synapse NG with Dr. Akibobola Otitoju. Kindly visit our social media pages, follow us on X and LinkedIn, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until we come your way again, stay curious. Bye for now.
Bye. I appreciate it. God bless you, Doctor.